Welcome to Adams Athenaeum. Let's take a look together through the news and records of our times as we try to shed light upon the unvarnished truth. Thanks for coming back to listen to this episode where we need to talk about the lines, definitions, and boundaries of pedophilia and grooming taking place in our public and private schools. Now, this episode came to my attention essentially from Timcast, if you know his channel on YouTube, essentially Timcast News. Is where I first heard this story, and forgive me if this episode sounds roughly like his. Him and I share similar viewpoints on many topics, and on this one, it kind of hit us in a similar way. We kind of had same reactions and same thoughts as to how to deal with this and the consequences of this kind of behavior. Now, some of you may have heard of James O'Keefe or Project Veritas. To some degree, they're one and the same. If I have my facts correct, James O'Keefe either works for Project Veritas or is like an owner or founder of it. And they do expose stories or like undercover documentaries exposing corruption in companies from like Twitter, Facebook, Google, CNN, all sorts of places. Essentially, wherever there's corruption, you're going to find these people. And they're great at their job. They get people to admit to things that are damning evidence. Which also reminds me, before we get into this episode is not for kids. If you're under 18, don't watch it. If you've got kids in the room, don't watch it. If your kid is asking for permission to view this video, don't let them see it. This is for adults. For people like you and I. For those of us who have kids and those of us who don't. Because whether or not we don't have kids, we're still paying taxes to schools. There may be some cussing. There may be some generalizations thrown out there. And we're going to talk about how sick and disturbing some human beings are. How fucked up in the head some people are. Now, again, like I said a few minutes ago, we're going to talk about kind of the borderline here between pedophilia and grooming. YouTube, Twitter, locals, I know you don't like the term. I know you think it's some kind of conspiracy theory being put out on the internet, but I'm going to bring the receipts. So please try to shadow ban me. Please try to block this video in the algorithm. Oh, wait, you already do that. So since I don't have much to fear in terms of retribution from YouTube, since they already banned me and try to ban my content from being seen, let's just talk about it anyway. Let's go over here to Merriam-Webster's. And together we will look at the definition of pedophilia. Pedophilia, sexual perversion in which children are the preferred sexual object. Specifically, a psychiatric disorder in which an adult has sexual fantasies about or engages in sexual acts with a prepubescent child. Okay, so pedophilia, at the very last part of the specific definition, it would sound as though a pedophile is someone who deals with preteens, right? Okay. So then I tried to look up the definition of groomers or grooming, but Merriam-Webster doesn't have a specific definition for that. So bear with me. I try to keep my definitions as precise and from the same source as I can. But again, sometimes Merriam-Webster doesn't know everything, which is okay. But for this next definition, we're going to go to Urban Dictionary and look at the definition of grooming, where it says grooming is when a sexual act or other kind of, when a sexual or other kind of predator sets the stage for abusing another, such as a child or other person, as in the case of sex and theory human trafficking. Trust. They may give toys or other gifts and favors to the intended victim to gain their trust. Alienation. Setting the stage for the intended victim to become alienated from their primary caregivers, circles, or family and community. Fear and dependency. Sets up a power dynamic in which the victim feels too afraid to report the abuse, perhaps by involving the victim in activities their friends and family might judge the victim negatively for, such as drug use or even the abuse itself. So why do I bring these definitions to you? It's because the story that I heard about boggles my mind. It boggles my mind because the subject of this video, is not in jail for endangering children, pedophilia around children, grooming children. We're tiptoeing around the rules of, exposing minors to adult sex toys. It's a very fine line these people are walking. Now, mind you, this comes from the LGBTQ movement, which, if you've watched my recent videos, you know I'm starting to get more and more of a problem with. I don't care if you're LGBTQ. I don't care what you identify as. If you're an adult, be who you are. Be authentic to yourself. Be true, and we'll be friends. But this LGBTQ agenda and what it's doing to children, those under 18, is damaging, damning, sick, and perverse. And now it's time to bring you the receipts. Let's start here with the name of the school in question. Now, if you know me, you know that I talk about pulling your kids out of schools or putting them in private schools because the education system is failing your child. They're teaching your child about sex and gender ideology when your child doesn't know about air filters, dryer vents, how to change the oil in their car, how to change their tire, how to fix a door, how to fix a garage door, how to change light bulbs, how to do wiring. No, that stuff's not important. You don't need to know how to actually do your taxes and stuff. No, you just need to know how to play with yourself, and that'll get you through life. That is essentially what the Francis W. Parker School in Chicago is teaching its students. Oh, look, right here from our DuckDuckGo search. Joseph Bruno video, Francis Parker School, Dean in Chicago, under fire. Now, what is the Francis W. Parker School? It is an independent school serving students who live in the Chicago area from pre-kindergarten through 12th grade. So let's just make this very clear from the onset. All of its students are underage minors. School is based on the progressive education philosophies of John Dewey and Colonel Francis Wayland Parker, emphasizing community and citizenship. Independent private school. Let's see what else we can find. Progressive education. Okay, so it doesn't look to be as though it's like a Catholic or Christian or Protestant specific type of school. Just a private school that if you want your child to go to, you got to pay a ton of money for. And if you're paying it, it says right here, tuition and fees range from $35,000 for kindergarten to $40,000 for grade 12. That's more than many people make in their average salary in a year. And you're going to send your kid to school to be taught about sexual acts instead of taxes, what to do at the DMV, how to prep for a driver's test, how to take care and maintain your car. No, instead, they're going to talk to you about, here, let me go ahead and pull this up. I don't want to bury the lead too much. Let's pull up here straight from the source, from projectveritas.com. Elite Chicago Private Schools Dean of Students brags about bringing in LGBTQ plus health center to teach queer sex to minors. That's a really cool part of my job, passing around dildos and butt plugs, using lube versus using spit. And that is a direct quote. We're going to watch a little bit of this video here. Forgive me, James O'Keefe, Project Veritas. We won't watch the whole thing together. We don't want to take away his work. Please go check out his own work for yourself. But we do want to highlight this incredible work that he has pointed out. Let's share this together. Forgive me if the audio isn't that great. Bear with me here. All right, here we go.
Parents might be stunned to learn that Bruno's version of love and acceptance means handing out sex toys.
Sorry, folks.
To underage students.
So I've been the dean for 4
Sorry, folks. Got a lot of web pages open here, and it takes a lot of my, internet capabilities away. So let's just kind of let it load here for a second, then we'll keep playing. I apologize about that.
Pride. We do a Pride Week every year.
Now, again, this is a direct interview.
And I had
with the Dean of Students, Joseph Bruno, from this school.
I had like our LGBTQ plus health center come in.
Again, I apologize for all these hiccups while it's loading. My internet's a little too slow for this episode. I apologize. But thanks for bearing with me. This is important. And it is something we
They
all
were
need.
passing around butt plugs and dildos to my students, talking about queer sex, using lube versus using spit.
Who is this?
This is an LGBTQ plus health center came in to talk to me. They're just like passing like dildos. Butt plugs. The kids are just playing with them, looking at them.
School?
In a class.
Wow.
Yeah. Well, I'm
Okay.
setting that.
I won't make you suffer.
Come in.
All right. I won't make you suffer through any more of that. It's absolute ludicrous bullshit. That's the dean of the school telling you himself that he thought it was a good idea to invite the LGBTQ plus group in to have some kind of educational discussions about butt plugs and dildos, how to use them, and whether or not you should spit or use lube on them. And supposedly, this was just regulated to the high school students. Supposedly. Allegedly. Hypothetically. I don't believe that. Prove it. Prove to me that you aren't teaching every fucking kid in that school about LGBTQ theory, CRT race praxis, critical race theory in praxis. Prove it to me. I've got the receipts and proof to prove that you are denigrating and exposing children to sexual materials unbecoming and unbefitting of their age, unbefitting of your position in a school, to be communicating with these children in such a way, to be exposing them to these tools in such a way. I would imagine to some degree, because one thing doesn't quite make sense here to me. He says, we're just doing it with our high school students. Okay, well, let me ask you, when you were in high school, did you have any idea what a butt plug or a dildo was? You probably had some fair idea, didn't you? So to hear that all of the students were just playing with it and didn't know what to do and were asking questions about what do we do with it? How do we do this? It sounds like they were younger than high schoolers. Prove me wrong. Show me your curriculum. Show me exactly what you are saying and telling these students during these discussions. Go ahead. Let's put it on a live stream, on a webcam, like I'm doing right now. Let me see in real time what you're doing and what you're saying, because I don't believe you. Public schools across the country have taught kids that if you're white, you are an oppressor. They have taught kids that if you don't use the right pronouns, you're oppressive. You've heard me say it, and I will say it again until the day I die. I don't give a shit about your pronouns. I don't get to tell you to call me yes, sir, or to address me as Mr. King of the World. You're not going to do it. I don't lose any respect for you because it's silly. It's arbitrary for me to dictate to you how you should talk. I will not stand for it. You should not stand for it either. And when it comes to your fucking kids in the classroom, being told how to spit on a dildo and use it, or to use lube on a butt plug and use it. Are they talking about the health and safety concerns that go along with these toys? No, probably not. Are they going to talk about the effects of microplastics in the body and the chances of getting microplastics into your anus or your other sexual holes from these rubber, silicone, plastic toys? No, I'm sure they're not. Are we going to talk about the risk of infections of sharing toys? No, probably not. We're just going to talk about sexualizing children around adults. If that's not grooming or pedophilia, I don't know what the fuck is. Here's how I see it. You are an adult who is adding to the sexualization of kids. Kids generally, at least in my fucking era, didn't know what sexual acts were for the most part until you were like late in high school, maybe early college, right? If you were a little bit sheltered. If you had brothers or sisters, maybe you learned about it a little bit earlier. Excuse me. How can you think it's okay as an adult to tell someone who's not your kid, hey, this is going to feel good for you. This is actually a good thing. This is normal. That kids should do this. No. I argue that to the death. Psychology proves to us the detrimental effects of masturbation on the psyche, as opposed to like marital consensual sex. Masturbation denigrates and degrades you. And yet we're teaching our kids, no, it's a good thing. No, this is what you should be concerned about. You don't need to know about taxes or voting or laws or the Constitution or fucking history for that matter. No. You need to know how to put something up your butt and whether or not you should put spit or lube on it. Fuck you, school systems. To the teachers that are allowing this, fuck you. You're a despicable piece of shit. You're a pedophile in my eyes. You are grooming these children. And if you're not directly allowing it, you are standing by and letting it happen. How did the Nazis come to power? Because people like you and me were too fucking scared to stand up. And we just went along with it. And then at the end of the war, when millions of dead Jews were found in fucking concentration camps, the Germans said, oh no, I couldn't smell the dead bodies being burned a mile away from my house. No. The capacity for evil exists in every fucking single one of us. And it's showing its ugly face right now. Get your kids out of these schools. Homeschool your fucking children. I don't want to hear the excuse. I don't want to hear the excuse of it's too expensive. I don't have the time. I don't have the money. I don't have the knowledge or the resources to do it. If you've been watching my channel, you know that I believe excuses are like assholes. Everybody has them and they're disgusting. If you want to make a change in your life, only you can do it. So do it. Shit might get hard. Shit might get expensive. You might get fucking broke. You might lose your house. You might lose access to your kids. But God damn it, at what point is it worth it? At what point is the upheaval of your life worth it? Is it when your kid is being told to spit or use lube on a butt plug? Or are we going to go down this road for another 5-10 years and just see how far we can desecrate our society? And then we'll talk about maybe saving it or fixing things. Fuck out of here. It's almost too late to fix this. And you know what's real funny about this whole situation is that I wanted to pull up, because again, this is from Timcast or Tim Pool. He mentioned that their social media page was pulled. So I just wanted to verify. So let's pull this up together. Because you would assume that, if something big like this happens at your school, you want to talk about it. You want to educate parents and inform them of what you're actually doing to correct the situation. But he said they pulled their social medias their social media websites. So I said, let's check that out. Let's just verify. Here we are. Okay. We've got their homepage. That's not going to give you any actual reviews or anything like that. We've got Wikipedia, which ain't good for shit, as we all know. Oh, here we go. Twitter, Francis W. Parker School Twitter. This must be the social media page they're talking about, right? So I clicked on it, and it took us to this next page. Let me pull this up here. It takes us to their Twitter page, which, what do you know? This account doesn't exist. So Tim Pool was correct. They deleted their social media page. Interesting. Interesting. To me, it looks like you're trying to cover up these alleged and cited, quoted and filmed admissions of children being taught to use sex toys in the classroom. Your children are being taught that sex and gender are the only things that are going to get them by in this world. If you have a problem with someone, it must be because of sex and gender. It's not because of their ideas or ideals. Everything is sex and gender or race or oppressor versus oppressed. I say fuck out of here. You people are sick and deranged. You are pedophiles and groomers, and come at me. Come at me in the comments section if you got something else to say. If you want to defend your inexcusable actions, come at me in the comments. I'll fuck your shit up. Metaphorically speaking. I will fucking berate you with words. I will destroy your character until you are nothing left than a fucking battered shell of a human being. You don't deserve air, life, and you are a waste of space. There are some sick, goddamned people in this world who would abuse children, who would rape women in the middle of the day. And we're not putting them in mental hospitals. We complain about it when they go crazy and then get shot by police. I'm kind of tired of hearing the mental health excuse. We had mental health institutions. We had psych wards. And granted, they weren't run well. They were abusive places. But we can change that. We can regulate them highly because they're needed. Before I just sit here cussing and telling you what a piece of shit these kinds of people are for another 25 minutes, I'll just go ahead and wrap this episode up. We got all the facts out there. We've got the dean of the students on camera admitting all of this. This isn't alleged conduct. This is admitted conduct by adults. Where the fuck are the police? Where's the FBI, the CIA, any fucking intelligence agency, the NSA, because I know you're spying on us? Where the fuck are you to lock this asshole and these other fucking degenerate teachers up? Where are you? I hear all the time of these school shooters. Oh yeah, the FBI knew about him. He was on some kind of fucking watch list. I'm sure you know about all these groomers and pedophiles too. I'm sure they're on some kind of sexual predator watch list. And you're just not doing anything about it. We need to make a stand, and we need to make a fucking change in this society. I am sick and disgusted of these fucking horrible news stories. I'm sick of it. Sick of hearing about it. Sick of admitting that there are degenerates out there that do that. I want to see a fucking solution. Castrate these motherfuckers. Never let them see the light of day again. Ever. Oh, that's too authoritarian. Fuck you. There's still people from January 6th in solitary confinement for fucking misdemeanors. We're talking about felonies with children. Throw away the goddamn key for all I care. Like I said, I could go about this for hours. Fuck those people. They're sick, abusive human individuals. They're not even humans. They're degenerate pieces of shit. Let's be honest. If you know someone like this, call the cops on them. They don't belong in decent society. Anyway, thank you for coming back to this episode. I appreciate you all coming back to hear this very important message about what's actually going on in our schools regarding your children. Make a change. Draw your line in the sand. Do not allow anything else. And if you think this message needs to be heard, which God damn it, yes it does, because I've only heard about this from one news site, Timcast, right? New York Post did have an article on it, but other than that, it's buried. No one's talking about it. So please share this with all of your friends and family. Whether or not they want to hear it, they need to hear this message. You can find me on all these channels here: Rumble, Twitter, Locals, YouTube, at Adams Athenaeum. Sometimes there's an apostrophe between the S and A. Sometimes there's not. Just kind of depends on the website. Just want to give a quick little wrap up here. These paintings over here, I just added a little bit of a change to my studio. And with that change came some open wall space. And so on the far side down there, I've got a hand-painted picture from one of my friends. Her name is Valentina. She did her rendition of Starry Night, and I think it's absolutely fantastic. I've had this for a few years now. In the middle, we've got, I don't even know how to describe it. To me, it's like, because you kind of got rocks on two sides. Like, strength comes in many forms. And strength can still be strong at its weakest point. And there is always beauty around strength. That's what I see behind the rocks. It's just beauty, sunlight, dusk, however you see it. And then this last picture over here, this was painted by my grandmother when she was still alive. I think it's a beautiful Bob Ross type of picture almost of just a beach. I don't know if it's when she visited or anything, but just thought I would give you a little bit of history behind these pictures behind me, let you know a little bit about them. Anyway, thank you for coming back. I appreciate you checking out my channel and listening to what I have to say. I will be posting later again this week, so please subscribe, that way you don't miss any notifications. I'll see you soon.